Right. So when you make a conversion, first you have to divide the given unit from the converted unit, right? So here we can able to figure out that I have told you that when you simplify these kind of simplification, very careful because there are some negative powers, right? So let's you know that guys, this -1 is relevant to the kilo as well as the gram, right? And first of all, you have to pronounce this unit. So here we have kilograms into the power of -1. Here microsecond into the power of -2, right? So first of all, you should have an idea what are the units which is given in the questions, right? Right. So let's go for the simplification. By using a bracket, you can avoid the make the mistake, right? So that's why I always put a bracket to isolate this unit, right? So okay, let's go for the conversion. So I will erase this one. Here we can able to cancel this gram into the power -1. So the remaining terms are kilo per -1 over milli per -1. On the other side, we have micro into the power -2, right? Because these -2 and this -2 are cancel each other. So then, if we substitute the relevant values, kilo mean 10 to the power 3 into -1, micro mean 10 to the power -6, but we have to consider the -2, and the milli mean 10 to the power -3, and we have to consider the power -1 also, right? So let's go for the simplification. Here we can able to obtain that -3 plus 12 over 3, right? So however, the final answer should be 10 into the power 6, right? So the conclusion is, in order to convert this unit into this one, you have to multiply the given numerical value from the 10 to the power 6. So this is the answer, guys, right? So hands up those who obtain this answer. Right, great. Very good. Okay, let's go to the second one. Here we have grams, micrometers into the power -1. Then you have to convert this value into nanogram and the centimeters into the power -1, right? So let's follow the normal routine that we need to follow. The thing is, we have to divide this unit from this one. So as I mentioned earlier, you have to concern this bracket, right? So then we can be able to cancel this gram, and in the denominator it's remain nano, and when we come to this one, sorry, here we have micro. So then in the nominator we have micro into the power -2 over centi into the power -1, right? So then let's substitute the relevant values. 1 over nano mean 10 to the power -9, micro mean 10 to the power -6, even though we have to concern the -1 power. Then centi mean 10 to the power -2, but we have to consider the power of -1. Then let's go for the simplification. Then we have 10 to the power plus 6 into the numerator, and in the denominator we have, then, so when it's come to the reciprocal position, it should be written as 10 to the power 15, right? So the conclusion is, in order to convert this given unit into this one, you have to multiply the given value from the 10 to the power 15, right? So hands up those who obtain this answer. Or just, very good. Great. Guys, just observe carefully about this simplification, because I might make some mistake too, right? Okay, now we have obtained the answer for the first two. So let's go for the third one. Now it is something new for you, right? Most probably it might be a new, but there's nothing behind the question. Right. So I have given that 3 kilometers per hour, and you have to convert this unit into meters per hour, right? So first of all, you should have an idea that now the freshy thing is, here we have hours, right? So first of all, you guys have to build up the relationship between second and the hours, right? Now, you know that 1 minute consists of 60 seconds, right? 1 minute consists of 60 seconds. Then when we come to the hours, 1 hour consists of 60 minutes, right? In order to obtain the value for hour in terms of second, then I have to multiply this value from the 60, isn't it? Right. So this is the relationship between hours and the meters. Sorry, hours and the seconds. Right. So let's follow the normal steps. Over meters per second. Right. So in order to convert this one, we can able to cancel these two. Then kilo over hours, and the denominator we have per second, right? So the thing is, we know that 1 hour consists of 3600 seconds, right? So in order to convert this hour into second, you have to consider that. Now let's substitute the relevant values. To the kilo mean is 1000, isn't it? Or 10 to the power 3. Then in terms, if we substitute the hours in terms of second, it should be written as 3600 seconds, but we have to consider the -1 over x minus 1. So we can able to easily cancel this s into the power -1. So the numerical value which is remaining after the simplification -1, right? So then, now normally in simplification we have to consider the positive power. So therefore, if I expand this value, then I take this value into the denominator position, right? So this is it. Then if I further simplify it, we can able to cancel these zeros. Then 10 over 36, that's mean 5 over 80, right? So I will give you a simple method. If you have given the convert this kilometers per hour into meters per second, the only thing is you have to multiply this given value from 5 over 18. This is a tricky method, right? I got it. Okay, guys, hands up Those who understand this procedure or this conversion? If you have any kind of issue or doubtful thing, just leave me a message, right? Don't be hesitate. Don't be hesitate. Right. So up to now we have discussing uh, about the units, right? So I told you there are four types of units, right? So what are the four types of units? Unit can be divided into four parts or four types. What are they? First one is the fundamental units. The other one is the derived units. The third one is the multiple units, or it can be pronounced as a prefixes. The fourth one is supplementary units. So now we are going to discuss about the supplementary units because we have completed the first three. That's mean we have finished the discussing about the fundamental units, derived units, and the multiple units, right? So under the multiple units, we have discussed about the conversion for given unit into another one, right? So the final types of units is supplementary units, right? Okay. Normally, right? Okay. Just put a topic as a subtopic as a supplementary units. Supplementary units. Right. So mainly under the supplementary units, we are discussing about the units which is used to measure the angles, right? And there are some certain another examples, but basically under the supplementary units, we are discussing about the unit which is used to measure the angles, right? So angles can be divided into two parts. First one is plane angles. Plane angles and the solid angles. Guys, plane angle means the angle which is subtended in a 2D plane. That's mean let's take this board is a single plane, right? So if I draw a angle like this, so this angle can be considered as a plane angle. That's the meaning of the plane angles, right? So plane angles mean it's a 2D angles, right? So when we consider about the solid angles mean guys, it is 3D angle. So let's take as example the edge of a table, right? So let's assume that because this is the this is the edge of the table, right? So this angle is built up using three plane. This is the first one, and this is the top surface, and this one is the other one. So this kind of angles is represented as the solid angles, right? Uh, okay, so these are the two types of angles. We don't need to worry about the solid angles, right? Because only we have discussed about the plane angles. So that's a very simple thing. Right. Okay, right. So if I tell you some more details about these plane angles and the solid angles. Guys, there's a particular unit which is used to measure the plane angles as well as there's another specific unit to measure the solid angles, right? So the unit which is used to measure the plane angle is we call it as radian. It is radian. We normally symbolize it as RAD. Is radian, right? And the unit which is used to measure the solid angle is steradian. radians. It is symbolized as simple RS and simple R. So these are the two units which is used to measure the plane angles and the solid angles. What is the unit for which is used to measure the plane angles? It is radian. And what about the solid angles? It is steradian, right? So these are the two types of angles. So these units are considered as a supplementary units. Supplementary units. And these basically the purpose of these units are to measure the angles, right? So there are some certain instance which can be used for another purposes except these measuring the angles. But normally, generally, we consider that most of the supplementary angles is used to measure the angles, right? So I think you might get a little bit idea about these two types of angles, right? Right. Just not write out the uh, supplementary angles are under the supplementary angles are mainly used to measure supplementary units are mainly used to measure angles. Right. So in the next rule, there are two types of angles. There are two types of angles. There are two types of angles. First one, plane angles. First one, plane angles. Second one, solid angles. Right. Guys, then just copy this table. Just copy this table. Just copy this table.
Just copy this table.
Right. So guys, so now we are going to discuss the main part under the supplementary angles, right? So then now as I mentioned earlier, now there out of these two types of angles, we are mainly concerning about the plane angles, right? So what is the unit which is used to measure the plane angles? It is obviously radian, right? So now we are going to discuss some more things related with radians, right? So then, now just put another subtopic as definition of radians. Another subtopic as definition of radians. Definition of radians. Right. Okay. Guys, listen this very carefully, right? So let's take and circle, and let's assume that whether this is the center and the radius of this circle as r, right? So this is the radius of this circle, right? Okay. So if I reveal the definition of the radian, now as I mentioned, I have considered a circle with a radius, right? Guys, namely this circle is an arc, right? I think you have familiar with these kind of words, right? So normally, if we consider this kind of length, it is called as a arc, right? So this is called as a arc. Okay. Now, if I ask you a question, so what is the circumference of a circle? What is the circumference of a circle or the perimeter of a circle? It should be 2 pi r, isn't it? Okay, right. So normally arc is built up by collecting two radius with a curve shape, right? So this is the normally we use the definition for arc, right? So you don't need to worry about the definition of the arc, right? So just focus about the definition of the radian, right? So this is the important thing. Okay, right. So now as I mentioned, I'm selecting a circle with a radius of r, right? So if I do consider an arc with the equal length to the radius. So let's take another example. If I consider a circle with the radius of 2r, so then I have to consider the arc with the length of 2r, right? So then this is the definition of the radians. The angle subtended by the arc, which is equal length with the radius, right? So let's assume this is the point where the arc is initiated, and this is the point where the arc is finished, right? So the angle mean this is the angle. This is the angle. It is subtended by the equivalent to the arc, equivalent to the radius at the center. So this is considered as a radian, right? So I will explain it another time. Okay. Now we have to consider an arc. This arc should be equal length of radius. Then this arc, the angle subtended by this arc at the center is equal to 1 radian. So that's the definition of radian, right? Okay. So if I let me ask you a question from you, right? So let's consider and circle with a radius of 2r. Okay, so this is the arc which is equal length of radius. So tell me, what is the angle subtended by this arc at the center? I will give you 3 answers, right? That is, this theta is equal to 1 radian, or this is 2 radian, or it is 3 radian. So tell me whether what is the correct answer? Whether it is 1, 2, or 3. I just ask you this question to identify whether you obtain the definition of this radius. Okay, just leave me answer. Just give me answer. Hands up those who answered as the first answer. That's mean the theta is equal to 1 radian. Right? Okay. Right. Hands up those who mention the answer as the second one. Right. Okay. So what about the third one? Hands up those who answered as the third is the correct one. Right. So just keep it, right? Just keep for a few seconds because I want to obtain the answers from you guys. Okay. So just keep this question for a little while. Then first of all, let's write down the definition of the radians, right? Okay. Now we have already put the topic for the definition of the radian, isn't it? Okay. Then let's start it. A radian, this is the definition of the radians, right? A radian is the angle, radian is the angle subtended at the center. Radian is the angle subtended at the center of a circle, subtended at the center of a circle by an arc, by an arc by an arc which is equivalent to which is equivalent to which is equivalent to radius of the circle, radius of the circle. Right. Just go through the definition very carefully and draw this figure, right? Copy this figure in your textbook, right? Try to get the meaning of the definition. Radian mean. So simply, let's find out what is the radian. Radian mean the arc, the angle subtended at the center by an arc, which is equivalent to the radius, right? So if the radius is r, then the length of this arc should be also equal to r, isn't it? And the arc which is equal length of the radius is subtended at the center is equal to the 1 radian. That's the definition, right? Okay, guys. So then let's go through this question. Now, if I consider a circle with the radius of 2r, right? And the question is, what is the angle subtended at the center by an arc which is length of 2r? Now I'm considering a circle with a radius of 2r, and the length of this arc is also equal to r. Okay, then now tell me what is the answer? What should be the value for theta? Hands up who answered as the first one. Right. Okay. This is the answer, right? I think I know you are messed with this definition, right? It is a normal thing, right? So just carefully notice this one. Okay, if I consider a radius with r and this the length of this arc is also r, so then the angle is 1 radian. So even though if we are considering a circle with a 2r and I'm also considering the length of this arc is 2r. So this is similar to the radius neither, isn't it? So therefore, this angle also equal to the radian, 1 radian. Clear? This angle is also equal to the 1 radian. Okay. So if I take another example, let's consider and circle with a radius of 3r. Right? Now imagine that this circle is having a radius of 3r. So if I consider an arc with equal length to the radius, that means it's 3r. The length of this arc is 3r. Then tell me what is the angle subtended at the center? What is the angle subtended at the center? Hands up those who tell the whether the theta is equal to 1 radian. Right. Okay, great. Now you have got that. So this is obviously is equal to 1 radian. See, even the circle is getting bigger. The thing is, if the arc, the length of this arc is equal to radius, then the angle equal to 1 radian. Right? So just copy these two diagrams also. Then you can able to figure out the what's the meaning of the definition. What's the definition of the radian, right? Just copy these two diagrams also. Right. So I think you have copied this, right? Okay. Let's move on to the next topic, guys. Let's put the other topic as this is also is a subtopic. Obtain the obtain the obtain the total angle. Obtain the total angle subtended around the center. Subtended subtended around the center in radians. In radians. Right. So this is the thing that we are going to discuss under this topic. Right. So we have obtained that. Now I want to obtain the total angle which is subtended around the center in radians, right? I want to obtain the total angle around the center in radians, right? So if I simplify this topic, so then what is the total angle which is subtended around the center in degrees? It should be 360, isn't it? This is the total angle around the center of a circle, isn't it? Right. So I want to obtain this angle in radians. Now we already know the values of the total angle around the center in degrees, that is 360. Right. So the now we need to obtain this value in radians, right? So I will make a little table for you. It will make convenient to obtain the answer, right? So let's consider this column as the arc, length of the arc, and on the other side, angle in radian, right? Okay. So let's consider a circle with a radius of r. If I consider an arc with equal length to the radius, then obviously the angle subtended at the center, the angle subtended at the center. If the arc is r, then the angle subtended at the center is 1 radian, isn't it? Right. So now tell me, what is the total arc of the circle? What is the length of a total arc of a circle? That's mean the circumference of the circle, it should be equal to 2 pi r. So if the r length is subtended an angle of 1 radian, I want to find out the angle subtended by this amount of arc, right? So let's consider it as x, right? So you might remember there's a mathematical simplification called as cross multiplication, right? So if I apply this cross multiplication for this table, then I can able to obtain that. That means we have to multiply these two terms and equalize the product of these two terms, right? That's meaning of cross multiplication. Then Rx, so, I will write down on this side. Then Rx equal to 2 pi r, right? Rx mean 2 pi r. If I cancel the r, then I can able to obtain that x equal to 2 pi, right? Okay, guys, then the conclusion is the angle subtended around the center of a circle in radians equal to 2 pi, right? So this is the very important value that you need to remember, right? Okay. Right. So I think you have completed the copying these notes, right? Okay, right. So the final topic under this supplementary units, right, just put as the relationship between radians and degrees. The relationship between radians and degrees. The relationship between radians and the degrees, right? So this is the final theoretical thing that you need to understand under this topic, right? But even though this is very important thing, right? Okay. Now, guys, we have learned that the total angle which is subtended around the center of a circle in radians. So I will write down it as total angle subtended at the center of circle. Right. If I reveal the total angle subtended at the center of a circle in radians, it should be equal to 2 phi, isn't it? It is equal to 2 phi. And if I obtain the answer in degrees, it should be equal to 360, isn't it? Right? So then the final conclusion is we can able to obtain that if these values should be equal each other. So that's mean radian 2 phi equal to 360 degrees. If I further simplify it, I'll write down here, right? So that's mean radian 2 phi equal to 360 degrees. So if I further simplify it, radian phi equal to 180 degrees. So this is the final conclusion under this topic, right? So you should have an idea about the relationship between the radian and the degrees. So then what is the relationship? Radian phi equal to 180 degrees, right? Okay. So just copy these things. Just copy those stuffs, right? Right. Okay. Now let's put a simple question. You should have idea that radian phi equal to 180 degrees, right? Okay. Just put the question. Convert the given values in degrees. This is the questions, right? Convert the given values in degrees convert the given values in degrees into radians. Into radians. Right. So these things can be, the answer can be obtained very easily without going for a huge simplification, right? You only need to know the relationship between the degrees and the radians. But even though I will tell you the longest method in obtaining the answer, right? So then you can able to figure out what then you can able to make your own procedure, right? Normally, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm normally tell you the longest simplification, right? Including the all the steps, right? So you can able to select whatever method, right? So if you can able to do it in by from your mind, that's completely fine, right? So simplification is up to you. I will just tell you the steps, right? So you can able to arrange it according to yourself, right? Okay. Now when you're converting these values, right? So first of all, you should have an idea about the relationship between the radians and the phi, the radians and the degrees. Now, what is the relationship in radian? Radian phi equal to 180 degrees, isn't it? So this is the normal thing that we know, right? This is the thing that we obtained few seconds ago, right? Okay, just write down this relationship. Then complete this table according to the given values. Now we have given the degrees value, and we have to obtain the equal angle in radians. So let's call it as x. So here I'm also using the cross multiplication. That means x into 180 equal 5 into 90. If I simplify, divide 180 from the both sides, then I can able to obtain that x equal to 5 over 2, right? Right. You can feel that without going for this kind of classification, uh, you can able to derive the answer, right? So, but it's up to you. Okay, try to obtain the answers for 60, 30, and the 45. Try to obtain the answers for the 60, 30, and the 45. And hands up those who obtain the answers, right? Right. Very good. Right. So let's find out the answer. So I'm obtaining the answer by using this method. From after that, I'm using some simple method, right? Okay. So what is the normal relationship between the radian and the degrees? Radian phi equal to 180, right? So now you have given the value of degrees. Now you have to convert this value into radians now. So then let's make the cross multiplication. Then you can able to figure out that x equal 180 equal to 5 into 60. Then x mean 5 over 3, right? On the third one, try to recall the relationship between the radians and the degrees. Radian phi equal to 180 degrees. So then you have given the value of degrees. Then you have to convert this into the radians. So if I make the cross multiplication, x into 180 equal 5 into 30, then x equal 5 over 6, right? So in the final part, first of all, write down the relationship. Radian phi equal to 180 degrees. Then you have to convert the given decrease value into radians. So let's make the cross multiplication. Here x into 180 equal 45 into 5. Then x equal to 5 over 4, right? So from now onwards, now normally, you know that today, let's take this one. No, in trigonometry, we are written cos 60, right? Cos 60. So now you can able to give this value. Now you know that cos 60 equal to half, isn't it? And if you given this decrease value in radians, it can be written as cos. Instead of 60, you can able to substitute it as 560 mean is 5 over 3, right? So then cos 5 over 3 equal to half. See, these are very simple things. Today, you need to make you should have a capability of converting a given decrease value into radians and the opposite thing, right? So if it is, so these are very simple things, right? Okay, I think you should have enough idea about this conversion, right? Okay, so up to now we have discussed the types of the units, right? So so now we are completed the discussing about the units, right? So let's go for the next main topic, right? Okay, this is a very important topic. Right. Just put the topic as importance of units. This is the one of the major topic in this lesson, right? Importance of units. Importance of units. Right. So now we have learned about the units now, right? So what is the purpose of learning about these units? So that's mean the importance of teaching about the units. So there are two main things that the importance of having a knowledge regarding the units, right? So first one, even I mentioned the importance, you can't be able to figure out what is the purpose of this, what is the specialty of this importance. So let's talk about it, right? So then up to for now, just try to remember the importance. The first importance or first function of the learning units is we can able to determine the accuracy of an equation. What's to determine the accuracy of an equation. So that means we can able to obtain whether the given equation is correct or not, right? By using a simple method. Now, normally you have learned a lot of types of equation, isn't it? As example, you have learned that F equal ma, right? That means force equal to mass into acceleration. So we can able to figure out whether this equation is correct or not by using units. So that's the importance of learning about the units, right? So this is the first one, and the second one is right. So this is the second importance of having an idea about the units. That is obtaining the unit of a constant. What's the meaning of constant? What's the meaning of constant? Right? So keep this word for a little while, right? So I will teach you what is the meaning of constant, but up to now, just um, keep that word. Just assume that a constant mean it is just a symbol, right? So let's assume whether the constant as a just a symbol, right? I will tell you the what is the meaning of a constant later, right? Okay. So these are the two main things or the importance of having an idea about the units, right? Okay. So first of all, let's write it down. First one, determine the accuracy of an equation. Determine the accuracy of an equation. Second one, obtaining the unit of a constant. Obtaining the units of a constant. Right. Okay. So first of all, now we are going to discuss these two important separately, right? So before that, I want to mention you some important things regarding this units, right? Okay, guys, just put a simple subtopic as just put a simple subtopic because the things that we are going to learn will be important or will be helps you to understand about this the first importance, right? So without knowing an idea of this term, now we are going to learn about the term, right? So what's the meaning of term? I will tell you. So up to now, without having a knowledge about this term, you can't able to understand the how to obtain the accuracy of an equation, right? So first of all, let's find out what is the meaning of term and how to divide the term in a given equation, right? Okay. Just put a topic as just put a subtopic as uh, derive the terms in a given equation. Derive the term in a given equation. Derive the terms in a given equation, right? Okay. Now, you should have an idea how to divide the terms in a given equation, right? How to divide terms in in an equation, right? So this is the thing that we are going to discuss for now, right? Guys, dividing a term in a given equation can be done by using these three mathematical operations, right? So you know that there are some certain mathematical operations that mean addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So these are considered as mathematical functions, right? So however, by using these three signs, we can able to divide a given equation into a terms. That's the theory, right? So let's take an example. Okay, let's find out. There's an equation, guys. I'm using these letters to indicate some indicate the indicate an equation, right? So don't consider the meaning of this equation. These are just an expression, right? Okay. Now you have given that A equal B. So let's assume whether this is the equation, right? So how should we divide this equation into terms by looking at this equation? So as I mentioned earlier, the division of terms in a given equation can be using these three signs, right? Okay, here we have a equal sign. So then just just draw a line which is separating this equation from this point. So that's mean there are two terms, plus one is the A is a term, and we can able to consider B is another term. So in this equation, there are two terms, isn't it? So this is the way that we divide the equation into terms, right? Having an idea about the term is very important later, right? So let's take another example. Let's call it as A equal B plus C. Now, I want to know how many terms in this equation. How should we do that? Just, you don't need to draw a line, right? You can easily figure out. But initially, as I mentioned, these three signs helps to divide into terms, right? So here there's a symbol, there's an equation sign, and here there's a addition. So that's mean, let's draw a line from this point. So that's mean A is a term, B is a term, and C is another term. So that's mean there are three terms in this equation, right? Assume these expressions are equations. Okay, let's go for another one. These are the terms, right? A, B, and C in this equation, right? Okay, let's come to this example. So here A equal to B over C, right? Even though we used only three signs to divide the terms, right? So what are they? Addition, subtraction, and the equal sign. Here only equal sign is there. So that's mean let's draw a line through this point. Hence, we can able to obtain that there are two terms. First one is the A. The other one is B over C, right? B over C is considered as a term. These are not considered as a two terms, right? B over C, because these terms can be obtained by using these three signs. That's the only thing, right? So division is not a sign which is used to divide the term. So that therefore B over C should consider it as a one term, right? So let's take another one. Now you should have an idea about how to divide how to divide a given equation into terms. A A squared equal right. So let's take this one as an example, this one as an equation. So how to divide these terms in this equation? How many terms? Yes, now you can able to obtain the how many terms in this equation. Okay, how many terms in this equation? Just leave me a message. Right. So there are. So let's draw a line through this same symbol, and let's draw another sign a line through this point. So then we can figure out that there are three terms. 1, 2, 3. So then here A squared is a one term, BOC is a one term, and the CD, product of CD, is considered as another term, right? So these are the terms in this equation, right? So is that clear for you? Let's make a simple sentence under this topic. Division of a term, division into terms, division into terms, division into terms in a given equation, division into terms in a given equation can be done by using right. Then put these three signs by using addition, comma, subtraction, comma, equal sign. You don't need to write this, just put the symbol, right? That's it. By using plus, minus, and the equal signs, right? Okay. After that, just with these four examples, right? There. Now I think you have an idea about these terms, right? And I want to mention some another important things. Let's take this kind of example. Right. So let's take this kind of example. Now, in this example, we can be able to obtain the terms at once, right? Because due to this bracket sign. So if you are given an equation with a bracket sign, it's better to extend this equation. That's mean now this bracket is emphasize you that you have to multiply this B from D, as well as you have to multiply this plus C from D. So that's the meaning of using a bracket sign. No? So it's better to extend this equation. Extend the equation. That's mean you have to multiply the expressions inside the bracket from the outer one. Then we can able to obtain the answer as the BD plus CD. Right. So now we can able to clearly understand. So this equation having a 3 terms, isn't it? So what are they? First one is A, second one is BD, third one is CD, right? So these are the terms in this expression. And I want to tell you another important things relevant with this equation. Guys, this is basically for the MCQ. This is for MCQs, right? I'm using this example. What is it? A equal B plus C into D, right? Now, if you are given an expression with including a bracket, right? If you are given an equation including a bracket, now just concern the inside the bracket. Now, in this equation, there are B and C inside this bracket, isn't it? Okay, just isolate the bracket. That's mean let's concern the only the bracket. Now, inside this bracket, how many terms? You can, guys, you can, now this is for the MCQs, right? This is for MCQs. And especially when you obtain a difficult equation, this trick method can be useful for you, right? So, okay, the thing is, if you are given an expression including a bracket, just isolate the bracket. Isolate the bracket. Isolate the bracket. So just concern about the bracket. So how many terms in this bracket or inside this bracket? There are 2, isn't it? There are 2 terms in this equation. So therefore, the we can able to consider that B and C are terms, right? We can able to consider that B and C are terms, right? So this is this kind of thing can be only useful in an expression including a bracket, right? And specifically for the MCQs, right? Okay, just put this example as the 5th one and make this tricky point inside the bracket or something, right? Just make a special note whether it is for the MCQs, basically for the MCQs, and these two can be considered as a terms or separate terms, right? Okay, just write it down. Right. So I think you have grabbed the things which is learned under this point, right? Okay, so we are going to move to discuss the importance of units separately. So we can able to cover some extent about this topic, right? Okay, guys, let's put a subtopic as, so now we are going to discuss about the importance of units separately. Just put a topic as determine the accuracy of an equation. Determine the accuracy of an equation. Determine the accuracy of an equation. Right. So this is the summary of this point. That's mean in order to obtain the accuracy of an equation, this is the thing that you need to satisfy, right? So what the thing is, if the units of each term, if the units of each term are equal, are equal, then we can able to consider that equation is accurate. Equation is accurate in terms of unit. In terms of unit, right? So this is the thing that you need to satisfy. So this is the requirement, right? Then we can also able to concern the reciprocal of this theorem. That's mean if I consider the reciprocal, if the equation, this is the reciprocal of this theorem, right? It's better to have idea of the opposite meaning of this theorem also. If the equation, now first we mention that if the units of each term, now we know how to divide the terms in a equation, right? So the units of the each terms are equal each other, then we consider that the equation is a accurate one. So how to build up the reciprocal of this? If the equation is accurate, then what should be the other thing that you need to satisfy? The units of each term should be equal, right? So if the equation is accurate, then we can able to consider that units of each term should be equal, right? So the same thing introduced in a two separate way, right? So just write it down. So this is the main thing, guys, right? So this is the main thing, and this table including the reciprocal of this theorem, right? So both can be accepted. Right. So let's go for an examples, right? So today, now let's assume that this is an equation. What is it? B equal U plus AT. You don't need to have idea about this about these equations, right? So in the future, we will learn every of these equations. So up to now, just just you don't need to worry about the equation, and the only thing is that you need to concern is what are the meaning of this each symbol, right? So here in V equal U plus AT, I'm representing V as the final velocity. Guys, it is a final velocity. Even though it is a final velocity, it's a kind of velocity. That's it, right? And U is represent as the initial velocity. Even though it is the initial velocity, it's a kind of a velocity, right? A mean acceleration and T mean time. Now let's find out you are asked to find out the accuracy of an equation. Accuracy of the equation, right? This is the question that you need to do, right? Okay. Now let's find out the way that we sort out this kind of questions. First of all, you have to obtain how many terms in this equation. Now, as I told you, what is the method that we need to perform to identify the terms of a given equation. Now, we can able to understand that in this equation there are three terms, isn't it? B is a one term, U is the another one, and product of AT is the other term, right? So first of all, you have to find out what are the terms of this equation. So then, first step is find the terms of the equation. Now, what are the terms? First one is B, U, and A. Right? That's the first step. The second step is obtain the units of each terms. Now the second step is, guys, you have to find out the units of each term, right? So first, now here B mean is a velocity, even though it's a final velocity, it's a kind of velocity, right? So what is the unit of velocity? Now you should have an idea about the previous knowledge, right? Now you might have some kind of familiar with the equation, right? However, it's better to have the idea about the equations, right? So in the last day, on the last Thursday, I will tell you some of the equations, isn't it? Right. Okay. Now V mean is the final velocity. So what is the unit for them? Unit should be the unit of V mean it is ms minus 1. Right? Okay. The other term is U. Okay, let's find out the unit of U. Now U mean it's the initial velocity. So what should be the unit? It is also ms minus 1. Right? So now we have obtained the units of two terms, right? Then the other thing is unit of product of AP. Now here A mean acceleration and T means velocity. Now let's substitute the relevant values or relevant units for this A and T. Yeah, right. You know that A mean acceleration. So what is the unit of acceleration? It should be ms minus 2, isn't it? It should be ms minus 2 into what is the time unit of time? It should be seconds, right? Then if I simplify these two, then I can able to obtain that the answer as the ms minus 1. So in this equation, it is including three terms, right? Then we have derived the units of each term separately, right? We have derived the units of each term separately. Then we can able to obtain that, we can able to observe that the unit of each term having a same answer, right? So that's mean the conclusion is, this is the conclusion, guys. So this statement should be written at the end of this your answer. Therefore, equation is correct. In terms of unit. This sentence is essential, right? So by writing this sentence, the answer is completed, right? So this is the way that we perform this kind of question. Okay, okay. Now just this is the first question, right? Just write down this question and label these terms, label these signs, and this is the answer for this question. Okay, so this is the second example. Now, in this question, you have given an equation as F equal L over M, right? F equal L over M. Here, F represent the force, L represent the length, and simple M represent the mass. Now, you have to obtain the accuracy of an equation. Okay, now it's up to you. Just find out the answer. Okay, let's see the answer, right? First of all, now you should have to identify how many terms in this equation, right? So in this equation, you can able to figure out that F equal L over M, right? That's mean if I draw a line through this point, through this equal sign, I can able to figure out that there are two terms. This is the first one, and L over M is the other one, right? So let's find out the units of each term separately. Unit of F, right? Now F mean force. So now this may be the units of the force might not remember for you, right? So if it is, so that's the importance of having the knowledge regarding the equation, right? You know that, okay, we have learned that force equal m, or that's mean mass into acceleration, right? So by substituting the relevant value for this equation, you can able to easily derive the units of force, right? Just keep in mind that force equal mass into acceleration, right? So then let's substitute the values for mass, that is kilogram, isn't it? And what is the unit of acceleration? It should be ms minus 2. So these are very simple things, right? So that's mean this is the SI units of force, kg ms minus 2, right? So then substitute this. Let's write this answer. Kg ms minus 2. Okay. Now let's find the units of other term. Units of L over M. Right here, L represent the length. Okay, what is the unit of length? It should be meters. M mean kg. Right? So when the kg come to the nominator, it's convert into meter per kilogram. So see, there are two terms in this equation, but the terms are not equal. The units of the terms are not equal. So therefore, this equation is not accurate or not correct in terms of unit. In terms of units. That's it. That's the answer for this question, right? Okay. Hands up those who got this answer. Okay, so that's the end of the today lesson. So I hope you will get to know about the first we discuss about the importance of units, and so I think it's clear right now, right? So let's finish the class. So on the next day, keep in mind that on the next day we are going to discuss some further details regarding this topic, right? So there are so many things that we need to know about this, and there are hundreds of questions. It's there for you, and I will send you the top questions, and you definitely have to complete each question, right? Because without doing questions, you can able to obtain a good results for the physics. That's the bitter truth, right? Okay, right. So then